What's up, guys? It's your girl Riva, and I'm back again with another video. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Riva. It's very nice to meet you. Before we get into this video, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and as I always say, make sure you guys leave your comments in the comment section down below. It does not matter how you feel about this video, we all want to talk about it. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow my Instagram. It's at RIVAH_JORDON, and we're going to go ahead and get right into the video.
Children, there are certain things that are propagated or pushed as it relates to boys versus girls. Like, oh, that's a girl, don't do this or don't do that. But in terms, oh my goodness, my voice. But in terms of men,
Thank you, Jesus.
in terms of grown men, I don't have enough information to say that because some men maybe don't know how to even treat a woman. Some don't know how to protect themselves. Some do know how to protect themselves and avoid certain situations. Like there's some men who will not go to that hotel room with that woman and he's this famous man. There's some who won't do that. There's some that will. I mean, there's so much variation, so I don't have enough information to answer that properly.
Okay. Lauren, can I ask a question, Kay?
Oh, Jesus, Chicago, why are you doing this to us? Go.
So I just want to read the question on the screen. It says, "As men, we are taught how to treat women,
Serious.
but not how to protect ourselves from women." And I just want to answer that as well. I think that's true. As men, when young men are growing up, it's like, oh, open car doors, be a gentleman, be nice, be caring, be sweet. She's a woman, she's a weaker vessel, she's a this, she's a that. So do things in a certain order. But when you're in a situation where somebody that's coming to you, all you know how to do is treat that woman well, but you don't really necessarily know exactly how to protect yourself, how to defend yourself, how to do anything in maneuvering, because it's just like, she's a woman, so automatically anything that she's doing must be considered right. So I agree with that.
Do you think the men in your family were taught how to treat women?
Yes.
Okay, they were. Were they taught how to protect themselves from women?
Yes.
In what way?
Just not even getting into certain situations, especially as Black men, knowing certain things that could happen, things like that. Do you think it's okay if you as a man were not hurt? And I would never do it, so I'm not trying to advocate for people hitting, but I'm just saying hypothetically, if a woman that was small hit you, do you think you should hit her back even though you weren't hurt?
I absolutely think I should have the right to hit that lady back. No,
even if you weren't hurt?
Absolutely. It
Why?
cannot be the case that some 5'3" woman gets to run around and hit every 6-foot man. Like, what world are you living in? Just because you can't hurt. Wait. Just because a woman is 5'3" and can't hurt a man over 6 foot means that she just gets to walk around and hit every single man willy nilly?
No.
And I 100% agree with that. Like, full-fledged just agree with that, because you know what I think about? I think about that this is somebody's child, right? And when maybe it's just me, but I'm just thinking of it in terms of from being like, that kind of like motherly. I don't have children, but like being like that motherly figure, like just being the nurturing person that I am. I think of it as that's somebody else's son. That's somebody else's child, right? And the same way that we wouldn't want, a man to be doing that to a woman, we absolutely should have the same standard of not wanting women to be able to do that to men, because that's not fair. Like, you're taking the situation of how protected you would be and how somebody, you can make a phone call and have this person, put away or locked away to your advantage. And that's ultimately not right, because at the end of the day, he's a person too. He has feelings too. So there, in no way, shape, or form should we make it okay or correct that, go ahead, just do your thing. Like, she didn't even hurt you, so who cares? It's not the point, Nobody should be doing it to anybody, regardless, It shouldn't be a if this or if that. No, nobody should be able to do that, regardless. And once you step into that playing field, okay, like, it's just like a boxer. If once you step into that ring and that bell dings, it's everybody for themselves. You know what I'm saying? And not everybody is going to react in the way of like, oh no, like, you know, women shouldn't be this or women should. Everybody didn't grow up with those sentiments, so you have to have that understanding as a woman and not even do these things, because there's so many women who suffer from the latter, right? Why would you put yourself in this scenario? Put yourself in a predicament where you know, to taunt the other person.
No.
Well, there you go.
So okay. So are you saying that it's men's duty to
Jesus Christ? Who said the word duty? Are you? Come on, Kay.
Listen,
Kay.
I'm
starting to see what people are talking about.
No
one said the word duty, but you. Like, you're putting words in my mouth.
I'm not.
I said what I said.
I'm asking you. Do you?
Well, if you ask me then, but don't put words in my mouth when you ask me.
I said, do you think that it's a man's duty to put like a smaller woman in her place if she tries to hit him?
No. It's her duty to keep her hands to herself.
Hold on, wait, because I don't want Kay to misunderstand what the lead was saying. Kay, the way you started with the question, you said, "Are you saying that it's a man's duty?"
Right.
Exactly, Rilla.
So that's a different question. That's why he was saying, "Don't put words in my mouth."
Thank you, Rilla.
That's a different way of asking. So
you're
saying,
like, Willie and I are actually listening to the words that are coming out of your mouth, even if you're not listening to them. Like, I get very offended when people put words in my mouth because I choose my words. I choose my words precisely.
I feel you. I wasn't trying to put words in your mouth. I was saying, what do you think about that?
A man should have the duty to make sure that he is protected at all times, and should allow no one to just walk around willy-nilly hitting him, whether or not he feels subjectively or objectively that person can or cannot hurt him.
Hey, Lead, I have a question. I have a question. So let's just take the dynamics of you and Kay. And Kay's 5'3", you're 6'3", a whole foot, and she hits you. And you're like, well, you hit me, I should be able to hit you back. What about an alternative? And I'm just asking, of a restraint, since you're...
I think we're spending too much time on worried about the alternative and what if this and what if that, still defending that a woman is doing this, and we shouldn't be defending that. It should 100% be, we need to work on women knowing that this is not okay and that they should not be doing this. Like, you're literally putting yourself in a predicament to be hurt and harmed, and that's your focal point should be not doing that in the first place, not doing that to begin with, not even starting off with that in your mind frame. So, you know, putting all this focus on what the men should do, if that were to happen, we should be talking to the women saying, you shouldn't do this. Okay, this is something that's unacceptable. Why would you put yourself in a predicament to be hurt or harmed because you're trying to challenge a man? Bottom line, there should be no if, ands, or buts, still trying to get that man to not do this in a certain way when, as a woman, you shouldn't approach this situation, period.
Bigger and grabbing her hat and calling the police and saying, she's right now hitting me, come here and arrest her for assault. And having it legally on the books that she hits men.
Yeah.
First of all, I'll take your second point first. First of all, no one cares that women hit men. When you say legally on the books that she hits men, no one cares. She's not going to get punished for that. So that's not a deterrent at all. Second of all, if I restrain her, if I grab her wrist, it's going to be a mark. Mm-hmm. So guess what? We're both going to jail.
Oh, you're super strong.
I am protecting myself, restraining her, doing what you say I should do. And then when the cops show up and see my fingerprints on her wrist, we're both going. But and that's the best case scenario. Because
so what should you do?
Wait, hold on, Kay. Let him finish. Go ahead, Lee.
What I'm saying is your solution is the best case scenario. What happens a lot of times is I could restrain her. The cops show up. They see bruises on her wrist, but they don't see any bruises on me. So now she's free and I'm going to jail.
And he didn't do nothing.
And these same cops have probably been raised, especially down here in Georgia, under the assumption that men don't hit women regardless.
Yeah.
That's why it's all messed up on all different levels.
I agree.
Well, let me ask you this. because you're restraining. You're talking about holding the wrist. Restraining could be a bear hug and telling her, you know what I'm saying.
Are
but
you serious?
Why you guys breaking down?
Y'all gotta let me finish.
The
Y'all
bear
not
hug
let
thing
me
threw me off.
not let me talk. That was just
But the man is gonna protect. They're gonna protect themselves. If the woman out of control, they're gonna protect themselves. In the story.
Okay, please stop and let me talk.
All right, talk to me about the bear hug.
Okay, so I'm not even. That's just an idea.
No. Listen, you got mad because I cut you off at the bear hug. So fine, finish your point about the.
I want to say something really quick. There's so many men that have gone through tumultuous situations where the woman is abusive. She's hitting them. She's doing all this kind of stuff. She's acting crazy, taunting. All up in the face. What you gonna do about it? You ain't gonna do nothing. I bet you this. I bet you that. I would say at a great number are men. You know what I'm saying? Are black men going through that? So they don't want to hear anything that sounds like you are trying to still defend the situation or defend the behavior. Because in saying that, why don't you just do this or why don't you just do that, it's still aiding in the defense of, oh, well, if she does this, then you should still be the bigger person to be able to do that, instead of focusing on the issue at hand, which is her doing it in the first place. That's what we should be focused on, because focusing on what the man should do in that scenario, we need to focus on what she's doing. Okay, so she's doing this in that scenario. We don't know how this person is going to react. That's cause and effect. We need to focus on the cause though, because everybody's effect is going to be different. Some people are going to do what Courtney said in Call. Some people are going to, do the bear hug thing. Some people are going to act like, it's another male there. There's so many different ways that people react to these situations. But the bottom line is that we shouldn't be doing this at all. Vice versa. We can't say 100% that we don't want, we want to aid in the, the fighting and stuff like that in the relationship, in the aspect of a man doing it to a woman, and not have the same. We can't act like we can't stand up for the same exact things when it's the other way around. It's across the board because we're humans. You know what I'm saying? One is not better than the other.
I'm sorry I cut you off at the bear hug.
I'm trying to finish a sentence. So even with that, but if you hit her, being that you're a foot taller, you don't think that's going to be an imprint more than trying to constrain her, than fight her? And if she doesn't get anything on her, well, no, you don't get anything on her because she's not strong enough to do any kind of bruise on you, but you're able to bruise her when you fight her, and the police come, who getting arrested? The police, when they come, they're looking at who is more messed up.
There's no telling.
Courtney
and there's no telling what's going to happen.
Yeah.
When the police come, situational.
It's not. When the police come, they examine the woman, they examine the man, and they see who is more battered.
Okay, what's your point that you're trying to make?
I'll tell you my point. My point is you. When Lee said, "Well, I'll get arrested because of me restraining her and holding her hands," my thing is, you're gonna get more arrested if you're fighting her and she has a black eye.
You're gonna get arrested, okay? They're not gonna give you more or less. The same scenario can play out. And what JR said is true. Like, you don't know what the scenario is gonna be. It literally depends on who responds to that call and comes to the home. You're gonna have some people who are automatically off rip, gonna have that guy like ready to go because of how society views men. So it really depends on who is going to answer that call.
Courtney, there's no such thing as more arrested. That's like being more pregnant. You can't be more pregnant.
It's not necessarily
or you're not. Courtney, come on. You're taking these long soliloquies. You don't want people to cut you off.
I'm giving legit
even JR
scenario.
was like, I don't understand what you're saying. No one's you're saying more arrested.
Courtney,
that
are you
make any sense?
I'm giving. Are you
There's
saying,
no such thing as more arrested
okay,
for
well,
a man.
excuse that I said that, lead attorney, okay? That was a misspoke, okay? So
You're
excuse
the one
me for saying that.
Words matter.
I said, what? Okay, and I'm saying excuse me for saying that.
Well, that's why I cut you off.
Okay, let me explain what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is that we're talking about now arrest and who's going to get fingerprints or restraining her.
It's not an investigation right now.
And calling the police, would have, I think, more of an effect than you fighting her and you're bigger than her and making more bruises on her. And when the police come, they're going to look at you and her and see who's more battered.
You want to know what this
reminds me of? And they're going to arrest the person that has the least bruises on them.
This reminds me of a conversation I had with my son. Yeah. He just missing. He want to bring up everything else but what we talking about in order to try to be right.
What are you talking about,
Derek? What are you talking about right now? I know exactly.
I think y'all missing it.
Yeah.
You know what the interesting thing is about this whole thing, JR, is that the whole thing just goes.
Y'all are missing it.
I agree. I genuinely agree, because the whole point is that we need to be addressing, again, the cause, not the effect, not what the other person should do, because the man would be the victim in this situation. We shouldn't be saying what the victim should do, okay? We should be talking about the person who's initiating all this drama and problems.
You trying to, and Kay trying to defend Courtney, y'all both missing it.
No one is defending
anybody. She's trying to pick you up.
Listen,
both of y'all are missing it. Both of y'all missing it.
Ladies,
under no circumstance should a woman just think she gonna hit a man.
That's exactly it.
If they hit the man, it's gonna be up to that individual man whether he responds or not.
Nobody should.
He can't be mad at him in the story. He know what's going on. He know what's going on.
You know what else is? You know what the interesting thing about this whole thing is?
How y'all gonna make a wrong right now?
Nobody should hear it.
That's not making no sense.
I think Courtney.
No, wait.
Okay, go ahead.
The interesting thing about it is that they will spend 99.9% of their time trying to get you to figure out how to be more reactive instead of solving the problem, which is you should not put your hands on a man.
That was the first thing everyone said.
You don't even get into this situation if y'all need to spend more time having conversations with women and saying, hey, you're not equal to a man, you're not as strong as a man, keep your hands off of him, and you won't find yourself in a position where he got to try to restrain you.
I agree. I agree with that. And I'm not saying that the conversation couldn't have gone in other directions, but I 100% agree with that, because the whole focal point of the conversation was on what the reaction should be and not the cause. So I completely agree with that. I don't even think there's anything left to say. I mean, at the end of the day, we definitely need to have these conversations. I think we do have these conversations, but just putting it out there, like, you know, no one should be putting their hands on anyone. No one should be fighting anyone. Like, that literally shows a lack of self-control. But also, as a woman, you cannot use. I mean, they do. We know this already, right? They use all types of systems to their advantage, and it's not cool, you know. Especially because these are the same people that you trying to talk about. They ain't this and they ain't that. But if they only really knew the story, if they only knew that you were the one who was initiating all these kinds of contacts, like. And if we stand for one thing when it comes to women, we have to stand for it when it comes to men as well. If you don't want a man, you know, hitting a woman, you should stand for you don't want a woman hitting a man. And you can't look at size and this and that, because there can be a guy who's extremely tall and maybe big, and there might be a girl who's bigger and extremely strong. It doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt, but it's more than the fact of hurting. It's more than the fact of how hard it hurts. It's more of the respect level and the disrespect and coming into somebody's personal space, and they have the ability to be able to react. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Generally want to know. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not following me on Instagram, follow my Instagram. It's at RIVAH_JORDON. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you.